Now Michael and Mario Andretti just ahead. Paul Tracy continues to lead. He's pulled out 7 seconds on second place. Jacques Villeneuve, Al Unser Jr. is in a championship position right now. Back at Road America, as Michael Andretti is in trouble. We mentioned a number of drivers were having tire troubles when they got off the edge of the track. Look at the right rear on Michael's car. He's got to try to make it almost half the course. He makes the turn that will take him up the hill and into the pit area. But Michael Andretti, who was in 15th position, now finds himself heading to the pits very early, and that will mess up the entire game plan for the rest of the day.
2 races in a row. Look what happens. He locks that left front because it lies down on the back. But here we get a look at it. Remember, this is 200 miles an hour we saw earlier, and there it blows. Halfway down the straight, something happens. Michael realizes what it is, and Leyendijk luckily misses it and pulls away.
Let's go to Gary.
He had been so frustrated having to start 20th. He'd been driving the wheels off it. Now he stalls. They made the tire change. It came off the jacks. Starter comes back over the wall. Also a piece of bodywork being torn off on the right rear. Oh, man. He is hot as he gets out of here.
And he's going to have to be real careful to make sure he doesn't break the speed limit as he gets out of there.
Almost identical to Vancouver. Puncture right rear, breaks the bodywork, they rip it off and send him back to battle. He was absolutely spectacular when he got back to battle at Vancouver, but I'm not convinced that he has the car under him today that allows him to be as aggressive or as effective as he was at Vancouver.
You heard a loud clunk as he came up to speed there. I think he suddenly realized what he was doing and got the control in so he doesn't exceed the speed limit. But we got it in early enough. Jan Beekes, you have an update on this stop?
Well, you were talking about when Michael Andretti was leaving the pit lane, you could hear some strange noises. One of those noises you heard was the speed control that we talked about last race in Vancouver. He had his finger on the button on the steering wheel, and that is a reveler that makes the engine run very rough until he releases it. He is not able then to go over 80 miles an hour.
Well, Michael Andretti remains on the leader's lap owing to the 4-mile distance of a single lap here, but fell back to 25th position as a result of that right rear going down on him. And also, let's not forget, there is some damage, though it should be minimal in terms of handling, to the right rear of the car. Just one of the scoops and spoilers that curls the air over the right rear.
And there's the carousel. When they go wide, that's where you get some debris, stones, things that will cut those rear tires. But if you had an outside tire blow through that kink, or that kink that it just came through, you could be in all sorts of trouble.
A lot of energy being carried by the car at that point, and if you lose any steering, you're going to be into the side barrier very quickly. Canada corner here, quick corner to the right as we come back up. Take a look at Nigel Mansell continuing to work on Robbie Gordon. Let's get an update. Eddie Cheever headed into the pits, driving for A.J. Foyt today. Jan, what was his problem?
Well, it turns out, Paul, that he is stranded somewhere out on the course because of an engine problem. We checked in with A.J. Foyt's Copenhagen team. I believe it's out by the carousel. So an engine gone for Cheever. His day is over.
We saw him running slowly, wondered if he was going to have a chance to get it back into the pits, but if the engine's gone, no need to make that long trip.
And happy to tell you the driver that he's filling in for, Brian Herta, is here this weekend without any medical devices on his pelvis and anxiously awaiting a return to the cockpit, which he thinks may be as soon as Laguna Seca, the last race of the season.
We're lucky we'll get a chance to talk to him later. He's going up and down the back of the pits. Spent about a half an hour with him yesterday here in the broadcast booth, and he's lost a little weight, but he's still got that sparkle in his eyes, and he is really anxious to get back. We watch this battle here. Herta, remember, was injured, had 2 fractures of his pelvis, damage to some internal organs, and a fractured femur. That's the upper leg as a result of a practice accident in A.J. Foyt's car at Toronto. Slammed the right side of the car heavily into the wall.
And moved to Indianapolis to do his recuperation under the direction of Terry Trammell. He still lives there. He said, I will stay here as long as necessary to get me race fit, because that is my priority.
And Gary Gerold's found Brian Herta.
Well, indeed we have. Brian, it's so good to see you back at a racetrack, and I know it's got to be exciting for you. A lot of people are wondering, though, what's the timetable for being able to get back in a race car, because I know it's #1 on your agenda.
Absolutely. You know, it's great to be out. This is the first time I've been to the track since the accident. I've seen a lot of good friends. friends and really helped keep my spirits up here. But timetable looks great. Doctors told me if all keeps going the way it is, that they'll even let me race Laguna Seca this year. So try and get that one in, but for sure we'll be back and racing next year all season.
We look forward to it. Thanks, Brian.
All right, thank you.
Nigel Mansell, the Kmart car, just made a good move on Robbie Gordon, but it wasn't stout enough. He wasn't able to get past, but I think he's got Robbie Gordon worried now.
Oh, this is a great fight here. Mansell in pursuit. Gordon fourth, Mansell fifth. Under braking, he seems to close up just a little bit. But what a pressure to withstand for a Robbie Gordon, the world champion, Formula One, IndyCar champion, right behind you, looking for your position. But Gordon gets better and better all the time and has not phased that much in race situations, although we did see him make a mistake at Vancouver. Boy, he was wide there, going through the apex.
Exactly. Interesting speeds on the last lap, too. Mansell faster as they turned that last lap speed. Mansell a master at not only waiting till the last minute to brake, but perhaps not even braking sometimes at all. And when he does, he'll trail that brake all the way through the corner. I don't think there's anybody out there that's better at it.
Off the racetrack with the outside wheels. Bounces over the curbs. Just listen. Second gear. Then the drag race. Mansell may be in the most developed of the Lolas, being the factory car. Probably 30% of the aerodynamic changes on this car done by their own team. The front suspension that you see there, all new, all Newman has. Gordon probably has a more standard or stock Lola. And as you can see, that's not a bad package either.
Well, all of the updates the Lola makes throughout the year, they build a new piece, and then it's not really ready for everybody right away, so it takes a while for a new part to trickle down.
That's right, that's from Lola. But Carl Haas independently has his own mechanical and aerodynamic development going on that is just for his team.
But that might mean that Robbie Gordon has all of those kind of updates. But look at Nigel Mansell. That's where he closed before, coming through the carousel, the gravel pit, and on the way into the Canada corner could be a key for Nigel this time around. They come up to peak speed, and that right-hander lies just ahead. They'll come down into the 60-mile-an-hour range. Robbie Gordon was able to pull away during the acceleration phase, and Nigel was not able to catch him. Interesting names have won here in the Indy cars. In 82, Hector Rabaki. 85, Jacques Villeneuve. Not the one here today, the uncle. Right after the Indy cars, coming up next, the PGA Tour continues as the top golfers compete for a share of the $1.8 million purse as ESPN brings you live the final round of coverage of the Bell Canadian Open. Nigel Mansell continues to do everything he can to worry Robbie Gordon, but there has been a report from the pits that there may be a problem with Nigel Mansell, Gary Gerould.
Yeah, there's consternation down here. There's been a lot of huddling going on around the telemetry units. Mansell has radioed the crew that he believes there's a misfire in the engine, but they haven't been able to substantiate that through the telemetry. It's nothing that shows this needs to be attended to or that needs to be fixed. So all he can do is ride. They plan to be in here in a couple of laps, lap 16 for a pit stop. Penske team will be in on lap 16, and they're going to try to push Tracy to lap 17, which frankly surprises me. Now let's go up to the other end and check in with Jan.
Gary, I can give you three very quick updates. First of all, Scott Goodyear came in early in his Budweiser car and made an 8.5-second stop, a different fuel strategy. Also on the course, Mark Smith is stopped, and he has radioed in saying he believes it's a broken throttle cable. Thirdly, we are down here checking, and it does appear as though Robbie Gordon may have gear selection problems with second gear.
Too bad for Mark Smith. As you saw, he had an excellent starting position and was running 10th when he had that problem. Is the problem with Nigel is, look, he tries it under braking again. He's going to get it done this time as he comes around Robbie Gordon in the carousel now. Well, if there's a problem that engine, it didn't show there. I was about to ask you, Derek, was possibly what Nigel's worried about was that little hesitation under acceleration.
I don't know what the problem was, but Gordon braked too late, missed the turn-in point, locked up the left front, and Mansell, you never give a man like Mansell another opportunity. Watch Gordon's left front. Smokes it right there, misses the turn-in point. You never give Mansell a second opportunity. Slams punches his way by, and that's it. All the work now pays off. Gordon makes a mistake.
And so Nigel Mansell and the Kmart Haviland Lola now runs in 4th place. And in fact, in a very few minutes, Robbie Gordon will have to deal with Mario Andretti, who runs in 6th place, running as Nigel's teammate. Nigel flashes across the line. The 15th lap complete now for the leader of the race, Paul Tracy. And Paul Tracy should be due into the pits. We're watching crew from Newman Haas and the crew for as Robbie Gordon slows down suddenly as he comes past the start-finish line.
Well, maybe this has something to do with the problem we saw him have under braking. If it was a gear selection problem, that could send him past the apex on your turning point, because remember, you use the engine as well as the brakes to slow the car down.
If you remember, I said at starting too, the one place that you don't want to have a problem here is right at the start of a lap. He's got 4 miles now, whatever the problem was. Michael Andretti, same problem.
How can Michael pick up all these punctures on the right rear tire? He had to take a shortcut because 4 miles is way too long. It would destroy the suspension and the bodywork. But look what he does to our camera lens. That is rubber breaking off the tire. See it down on the right-hand side that just flaps and weaves. If he had to do 4 miles, the tire would come off. Then he could damage the suspension, probably not even make it back.
Michael is in just ahead of him. Both of the Newman Haas cars are scheduled for a stop now. In fact, most of the teams have now laid out, anticipating their cars to come in on this lap. There goes the first indication as Jacques Villeneuve heads into the pit area, climbing the hill in 2nd place. And right behind him is Al Unser Jr. We'll track all of these for you as they come in to make their stops here at the gigantic Road America. And Jacques Villeneuve heads for Jan Vickers.
Jacques Villeneuve is coming in. We have checked with Barry Green. They do not expect to make any stops. So far, he has stopped right on the marks. We're expecting a very standard 4-tire change and to take absolutely all the fuel that they can. So far, everything. Oh, they clean his visor. They're waiting for the fuel. Jack's waiting for the command. And, oh, it's not in gear. He can't find a gear. Jacques Villeneuve lost all kinds of time. Let's check in with Gary.
Al Unser Jr. got serviced and is out in 13.6 seconds. His teammate Emerson Fittipaldi now being handled by Rick Reineman and the crew. They've been so reliable, so dependable all year. He is ready to come off. They're making a change on the left front wing. Down 1 turn, it appeared. Tracy will be in on the next lap.
So Emerson Fittipaldi comes into the pit in 7th place. Al Unser Jr. moves up to 3rd place as a result of that stop. The other thing that we suggested, the crews here are so critical with a mistake by Jacques and with the performance by the Penske organization and Richard Buck, they got him a place. Let's go back to Jan.
Well, we've had an opportunity to look at the tires that just came off Jacques Villeneuve's car. There you can see it. A huge blister on the, it looked like it was the left rear of Jacques Villeneuve's car. Man, this is really going to send shivers up and down with these teams. They're going to be very, very careful with these tires. That may be what's happening to Michael Andretti, gentlemen. Remember, they're both driving Reynards.
Yeah, but Jan Vickers, here's the question. He did make it to the 16th lap on those tires. So as we watch Paul Tracy come into the pits, we'll talk to you in a second. Jan, first let's go to Gary Gerould as the leader makes his stop 1 lap later than scheduled.
The fuel economy has been surprisingly good in this first stop. He got 17 laps, 4 more miles than his other competitors. Everything looking routine as we watch. John Buzlag out in front, the crew chief here for Paul Tracy, hurls the cable back over the hose from the air gun, waiting for the fueling to be complete. Waiting. Oh, this is not quick. 17 seconds. He's out of here. It was smooth, but it took a long time to get all that fuel, Paul.
Yeah, but the reality is I'm not so sure that it needs to be quick. He developed a tremendous margin, and here he comes back onto the track, easily the leader of the race. And that, though, the big change is obviously going to be that Al Unser Jr. flashes by in 2nd place, and Villeneuve drops down into 3rd position now. Mansell 4th, Fernandez 5th.
And the hard work that Jacques Villeneuve and Barry Green's team put in to get him up to 2nd place all goes away with a very simple mistake. He's in the pit lane and he forgets to put it into gear. That's all the big boys need to pounce and take that position away from you.
Let's go pit side again. Robbie Gordon is in, out of the car, and with Jan Vickers.
Robbie, we had reports that you were having gear selection problems. Is that what put you out?
Yeah, we broke second gear about lap 10, and we were just trying to hold on to see if we could run longer and try to gather some points up. You know, I got to give credit to the Valvoline guys. They worked really hard all week. We weren't very close when we got here, and we had a pretty good race car.
Well, what's going on with the gearbox? Because you had that same problem in Vancouver. That's why you couldn't close on Al Jr. Is there a problem that keeps coming up for a reason all of a sudden at the end of the season?
I don't understand what the problem is there. This time, it's definitely something different than last time because I know it broke second gear right in half.
A very disappointed Robbie Gordon. Paul?
I tell you what, though, when he wins, look out. I know I've said that before.